Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to be a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Today I want to talk about working smarter when it comes to meetings. Our quote is from Peter Drucker. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Time management is not about cramming more into your day. It's about structuring your work and your work day so that you're getting paid properly for all of the work you're doing. At least that's what we're talking about today. Let's go. I want to share one of my favorite little systems. It's something I actually teach my coaching clients, and once they start using it, they rarely go back. I call it the 20-minute meeting. Now, before you think I'm suggesting you cut all meetings short just for the sake of it, that is not what this is about. This is about recognizing that a client meeting doesn't end when you click leave meeting or end meeting. It ends when everything that came out of that meeting has been documented, assigned, communicated, and basically organized. Unfortunately, many VAs do not account for all of that. Here's what typically happens. You schedule a 30-minute meeting with your client. The meeting runs right until the 30-minute mark. You say goodbye, and then you jump in straight into your next task, or maybe even your next client call. Your notes stay scribbled on a notepad. The project management system doesn't get updated until later. Follow-up email sits in your inbox waiting to be written. Action items don't get assigned maybe till the next day. And sometimes they don't even get assigned at all. And if you're honest, how often do you end up doing all of that admin work later in the day without charging for it? You're still working because of that meeting, but your client's timer stopped at the 30, right? That's where the 20-minute meeting comes in. If you've booked a client for 30 minutes, aim to complete the actual meeting, the conversation part, in about 20. That doesn't mean rushing. It means being organized, having an agenda, staying focused on that agenda, and gently steering the conversation if it starts to wander. I will tell you that most client meetings don't need the full 30 minutes of discussion. All they need is direction. Now you've created something incredibly valuable. 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes are still part of the client's booked meeting time. You should use them immediately. Update your project management system, write your meeting notes while everything is still fresh in your head. Assign tasks, record deadlines, draft and send up a follow-up email if you need to. Capture any ideas that came up and log your time. By the time those 30 minutes are over, the meeting is actually finished. Everything's wrapped up, nothing's left undone, and you have effectively used those 10 minutes to complete that whole meeting task for your client, and you got paid for the full task. There are a couple of reasons why managing your meeting times makes sense. One of them is the hidden cost of the lost time. Implementing a tight system like this keeps your money in your pocket. A lot of VAs don't realize how much free work they're actually giving away because they're only looking at the meeting itself as being billable to the client. Let's say you've scheduled a 30-minute client call. You block off the half hour in your calendar, you have the conversation, and when the meeting ends, you stop the timer. But you're not actually finished. Doing all the things afterwards, organizing your notes, updating ClickUp or Asana or whatever, uploading documents, maybe even saving meeting recordings. All of these things are tasks that happen because of that client meeting. They're part of delivering that service and they're part of the actual meeting task. But so many VAs treat them as extras that they just squeeze into their schedule later on. And the problem is, later almost always turns into unpaid time. So let's do the math. Imagine you have 4 client meetings each week. That's actually not very many, is it? After each meeting, you spend maybe 15 minutes wrapping up everything later in the day. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But that's 1 full hour every single week. And over the course of a year, that's more than 50 hours of unpaid work. I want you to think about that for a minute. That's more than an entire work week. Maybe for some of you, it's even 2 weeks because you didn't build your wrap-up time into the meeting itself. Now, imagine that your hourly rate is $50 an hour. You've effectively given away more than $2,500 worth of your time, and you don't need to. If you charge $75 or $100, you're looking at even more money. It's not about squeezing more money out of your clients. It's about recognizing the true scope of the service that you're already providing. The meeting is not just the conversation. The meeting includes everything required to make that conversation useful. The meeting is the guts, right? When you start thinking about meetings in this way, you'll stop seeing your follow-up as just extra admin or overhead, I used to call it. You'll see it for what it really is. It's part of delivering that exceptional client experience that ridiculously good VAs provide to their clients. Another reason to manage your meetings better and bill for that follow-up time right away is that your clients will love the immediate follow-up. The 20-minute meeting isn't just something that's good for you, it's fantastic for your clients. Think about how many times you've been in a meeting where everybody leaves feeling very clear on what was discussed, but then nothing. A day goes by, maybe two, and you're left wondering who's doing what? What was the deadline? Did we decide to move forward on that idea or did we not? If you leave that meeting and don't summarize the results right away, your client is wondering the same thing. Now imagine the opposite experience. You finish your meeting, and before your client has even had a chance to maybe grab another coffee, they've received a summary of everything you discussed. Their action items are clearly listed, your action items are already in your project management system, and the deadlines have all been recorded. The next steps are right there. There's no trying to remember, no guessing, no wondering if anything was forgotten. Your client doesn't even need to go over their meeting notes because you've provided them, right? That might be something that they do a lot later too. But this kind of follow-up creates the trust that we're looking for. It tells your client, I've got this. And honestly, that's what they love. Because remember, they don't hire a VA because they want another person to manage. They hire a VA because they want someone who manages the details for them. Immediate follow-up demonstrates organization, reliability, and professionalism without you ever having to say those words. You're showing them instead of telling them, which is just the way it should be. Clients remember that feeling. They remember people that they work with who make their life easier. And that's exactly the kind of experience that leads to long-term client relationships and referrals. It's impressive. It communicates professionalism, and it builds your confidence and their confidence in you. It tells your client that they're working with someone who has it all under control because they have processes, they have routines, they have structure. And that's exactly what ridiculously good VAs do. And of course, you're no longer trying to remember what happened 3 hours later. We've all looked at our notebook and wondered, what the heck did I mean by that? Why did I write that down? Why, when you document everything immediately, your notes will be more accurate and your follow-up is better and nothing slips through the cracks. There's also a mindset shift here. Many VAs believe they're only working when they're talking to the client or physically doing something that, the client needs. That is not true. You're not. The meeting includes the preparation before it, the conversation itself, and the documentation afterwards. That's all part of the meeting task. And if you don't account for that time, you're giving away part of your expertise for free. And you probably don't even realize it. Or maybe you haven't thought about it in that way. But you should think about it in that way. Everything you do for your client is billable to your client. Everything. I don't want you doing work for free for anyone. So let's change that right now. Systems are important. Being a professional VA also doesn't mean being busy all day long. Systems help you deliver consistently excellent service without constantly falling behind. And the 20-minute meeting is a sample of one of those systems. Now, one thing I must also include is the objections that you all give me every time I tell you that a 20-minute meeting is all you need. I hear it all the time. But what if? But what if? When I teach the 20-minute meeting, I hear these objections all the time. The first one is, my client always talks too much. Well, fair enough. Some clients like to chat. But part of being a professional VA is learning how to gently guide a conversation back to the agenda. You have to lead the meetings, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be abrupt or cut someone off, but it can be as simple as saying, so before we wrap up, I'd love to make sure we've covered the other 2 items on our agenda. Circle them back and let them know that you're keeping track of the time, right? Most clients appreciate that because they're busy too. The second objection is, what if we actually need the whole 30 minutes? Well, then use the whole 30 minutes, guys. The goal isn't to finish early at all costs. It's to look for the opportunities to be more effective and more efficient. The goal is to recognize that wrapping up the meeting is part of the meeting itself. And if today's discussion genuinely requires a full half hour, that's totally okay. You may need to spend a few minutes extra afterwards, or you may decide that this particular client really does need a 45-minute meeting going forward. It's the 20 minutes is irrelevant. The idea is incorporating all of that time. You still need to block out the right amount of time for the meeting and for the pieces of follow-up. It should be 30 minutes in total. But if it's 45, that's okay. Except it really should be 30. But I could go on all day about that. Trust me, it can be 30. The important thing is being intentional instead of assuming the admin work is somehow extra. Allow time for it, billable time, and do it. Now, another question I hear all the time is, won't my client think I'm trying to end the meeting early? Well, if you've accomplished everything you set out to accomplish, they won't. Most clients don't judge a meeting by how long it lasted. They judge it by whether it was productive, whether they got all the things out of it that they needed. And a focused 20-minute meeting with an excellent follow-up is far more valuable than a 30-minute meeting that wanders off topic and leaves everyone kind of wondering what happens next. And to be honest, everyone hates meetings. Everybody. I don't know anybody who likes meetings. They should never be a co-working session unless they're specifically a co-working session. But every meeting you have should not be screen sharing and this and this and that with the clients. You have to get more succinct ways of working together. It should be a high-level overview of what's supposed to be happening, and then you both go off and do your own work. Now, finally, some VAs say, I can just update everything later. Of course you can. But the real question is, will you? Life happens. You go to your email, another client comes in, your phone rings, something urgent comes up. Before you know it, you're trying to remember a conversation that you had 6 hours ago. And that is when details get missed, when things fall through the cracks. And that's when you're doing unpaid admin work at 8 o'clock in the evening because you never quite got around to finishing up the details of that meeting. The 20-minute meeting solves that problem before it starts. It happens during your business day. I love the 20-minute meeting, and I hope you love it too. So, have I convinced you? Here's my challenge for you this week. Look at your calendar. Find one 30-minute client meeting. Go into it with a simple, clear agenda and intentionally aim to finish the conversation in 20 minutes. Tell the client you want to follow the agenda because you value everyone's time. And then spend the final 10 minutes completing everything that meeting generated. Don't save it for later. Don't tell yourself you'll get to it this afternoon. Finish it before the clock reaches the end of that original booking time, that 30 minutes. I honestly think you'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel, how much more organized you become, and how much more professional your clients perceive you to be. Sometimes it's the smallest systems that can make the biggest difference in your business. And this is one of them. That is all for this week. And I know this is just a quick one because that's what we're talking about here is efficiency. So let's circle back to today's quote. Efficiency is about doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. When you focus on doing the right things in the right way, you get both and you stop losing money by working for free. Now, let me finish up just by going back and reiterating that if you really can't see a 20-minute meeting working for you, then do a 45-minute meeting. Take 30 with your client and take 10 to 15 to finish up. But stop jumping out of the call and onto something else right away and trying to come back to it later. I can promise you by doing that, you're losing money. You're not accounting for the before and after of your meeting, and you should be. If you want help mapping out a great agenda for your meetings that will help you work more efficiently, host shorter meetings, and deliver a polished summary and action steps to your clients shortly after your meeting ends without using AI, get in touch with me and we can book in one of my quick win private coaching calls. All you need is the framework, and you can create the right agenda for each of your clients. Honestly, I used to have a different agenda for every single client because they all focused on different things in their business. And we did the production meetings in 20 minutes, even for my 6- and 7-figure business coaches. These are busy people. They had a lot of things on the go, and I did my meetings in 20 minutes. You can do it. It works, and I hope you try it. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. If this episode gave you one practical idea that you can use today, I would love for you to leave a review or share it with another VA that you think could benefit from it. And if I can help you take a step forward, don't be shy to reach out to me. Send me a DM or book a quick win coaching call today. You can go to yourvamentor.com/links, and the link, of course, is in the show notes. Let's help you become the ridiculously good virtual assistant that you know you want to be. I'll see you next time.